Next one is one you're definitely not going to have on here. It's one of my favorite exercises. It's a bench supported isolateral cable row from a low position. So you basically have a bench.
That's quite a mouthful. The trend lately has been, what are the optimal exercises? People going over, okay, what exercise would I choose if I only had this many to do, which I don't get the whole concept of this because that's never going to be the case where you only have certain exercises to choose from, but I get it. People say basically instead, what's your favorite exercise? And I mean, there's this whole trend of like, what is the most optimal thing you can do? And these exercises work, but I think what a lot of these fitness influencers don't realize is how much extra time they have compared to the average person, as well as like taking up equipment that people are using. So let's take a look at this and see if it's really the best thing for you.
The next one is one you're definitely not going to have on here. It's one of my favorite exercises. It's a bench supported isolateral cable row from a low position. So you basically have a bench in front of you. You have stability.
So there's nothing wrong with doing this. I mean, essentially you're doing like a dumbbell row, but with a cable, and you're having tension on it all the time. You can stretch a little more, you're supporting your lower back, whatever. That's all good. But the problem with things like this is I think a lot of this is just kind of gimmicky. So I'm sure he does this for real, which is fine. But when you think of people doing exercises, especially for back, you typically want to do a vertical and a horizontal pull in your workout. So this is his horizontal. He talked about the vertical earlier with the lat pull down, different hand variations, you know, and this dude loves saying efficacious, and he uses all these terms like, you know, this is efficacious because you get a good peak contraction and stretch mediated hypertrophy, and you hear all this stuff on the Instagram videos and stuff, and you're like, oh wow, those are big terms, they must know what they're doing, and he's a big guy. So I mean, yeah, but the thing is, when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see someone with a bench up against a cable machine and you're like this and pulling across your body and coming all the way down like this, and you're not used to seeing that, and you're like, oh wow, this dude is huge. That must be what I'm doing wrong because I don't work out like that. But first off, he didn't get like that from doing that either. This is a newer thing that he started doing, and it's like, okay, how much extra growth can you actually gauge from doing a lat pull down or just a row where you're doing a full range of motion with light enough weight so that you can do that and control the weight, versus going across your body and then this little extra stretch you might get. Yeah, maybe 1% or 2%, who knows? Like, I really doubt you'd be able to gauge that. And they also don't really talk about the fact that they're on drugs that make them a whole lot bigger, but he probably did those standard rowing and lat pull downs up to this point to get the way he looks now anyways. But the thing they don't think about is like, yeah, you've got all the time in the world in the gym because your job is to be a fitness influencer and to look good and to show the exercises you do, and that does grab people's attention. But the average person watching your videos, I would say probably 95% of people are probably not anywhere near the level these guys are. They like their physiques and like, oh, I want to do what he does so I can try to look like that. But they're working 9-to-5 jobs, they probably have families, and you don't have a whole lot of time to spend in the gym. So when you get there and all of a sudden it's like, well, let me get this bench and set this all up so I can do these special rows and go super slow with everything. Not that I'm saying you should speed through reps, but you can go faster as long as you're controlling the weight and actually engaging the muscles you need to. You don't have to sit there and make your set be 2 minutes long. And Greg brings that up here too. He says, I don't like doing these movements where I'm doing one side at a time because it takes twice as long. And he just sticks with the normal things like, you know, bench press, squat, deadlift, a row machine, a lat pull down machine. And it's kind of funny because what Eric says here,
I'm more of a time efficiency type of guy. If I do one arm and I'm tired, and then the other arm.
We've had that kind of argument, but the thing is with like an isolateral pull, like you can do one arm and then you don't have to have a tremendous amount of rest until you do the other arm, and then you can maybe have a longer rest between the two, but it's really not increasing maybe the time as much as you would think because you can kind of go from one arm right into the other. It's not super well, but
30 to 40 seconds in this arm, 30 to 40, there's a minute to minute and 20. I'm more of a, I'm gonna get it over with at the same time. But
fair enough.
Yeah, it's all good.
okay, so you're making your workout take at least twice as long, the portions where you're doing the exercises. And Eric talked about in a different video with Greg and some other guys, they were debunking fitness myths, and one was that is cardio overrated or underrated? And he said, I don't really need cardio because I push so hard on my sets that my heart rate gets so high, my cardio is good just from that. So I know what he's talking about. I've done lunges and my heart rate's in the high 180s and I'm like gasping for air after I get done. So if you're doing one side at a time, like at a different part, he talks about doing these Bulgarian split squats at a deficit. If you're doing a set of these to failure, you are gonna be breathing really heavy. And when you get up, you're not just gonna be going right into the other side. You're probably gonna need a rest for at least a minute before you're ready to go to failure on the other side. So aside from doubling the amount of time that you're doing the actual exercise, because you're having to do one leg at a time, one arm at a time, whatever, you're also taking extra rest between the sets, because if you're going to failure, like they said in the debunking video too, most people don't actually go to failure. They don't know what it's like, because it's really hard. You do all those and you're like, I'm tired. Well, you gotta grab the other side and start going. You're gonna need a rest a little bit, probably 30 seconds to a minute, at least I would guess, for doing that. And that time adds up really quickly. They also mentioned that Greg's watched him do a set that takes over 2 minutes because he talks about this stretch-mediated hypertrophy and really long time under tension. So he's sitting there going super slow, leaving it stretched for a long time, and it takes 2 minutes or more. So then you do 2 minutes, then you gotta rest for 30 seconds to a minute, then you do another set that's 2 minutes, then you're resting before you go into it again. I mean, it's gonna take you like 5 minutes to do a set versus you get on a good machine where your chest supported, whatever, and you can lean forward, pull all the way back, and go back forward, and you can do your long set. You get them both at the same time. Make sure you're engaging both arms. And I mean, we don't need to overcomplicate it, and you got to consider that most people probably don't have that amount of time to double their workouts. I mean, most people just need to get into the gym and be consistent with doing that before you try to do all these optimized exercises. The other thing is, you notice they're working out and there's not a whole lot of people around, but you go to a gym after work and it's packed and busy. I don't want to be that guy that goes over and grabs a bench, takes it over to the cable machine rack, and then I set it up there and I'm leaning against the bench and grabbing a cable and do all this. Well, now the guy can't do cable flies or whatever they want to do with the cables, or tricep press downs, or things that people typically do with that, especially when there's literally probably a cable row section from the machine right next to it. And you could still do one arm at a time. You sit there and do a seated row, and you might have a bad lower back like me or like Greg was saying. But if you don't have back problems, it's probably good to not do a chest support one, because then you're having to support yourself and using your spinal erectors to do that while you're still doing one arm at a time, and it works just fine. But also, you're taking a bench away from someone that could be using that for bench press, because usually when I go to the gym and it's busy, all the benches are taken. You got to sit there and watch for someone to finish so you can jump on it before someone else does. And those things, the time aspect, but also just taking a bunch of equipment that other people could be using for multiple exercises, so you can use all this for one thing that's probably going to take you like 15 to 20 minutes to get through all your sets because it takes so long to do. It's kind of inconsiderate of other people. And it's like the same thing. You scroll through Mike Israetel's Instagram and you see the dude on a bench with dumbbells laying down to get an extra stretch to do curls, and it's like, man, I would be pretty irritated if I went to the gym and a dude's taking like 20 minutes to do lying down curls with some 10 to 15 pound weights because he wants to get a little bit of extra stretch on the biceps, whereas you can't really do a bench press without a bench. You know, you're taking up equipment that you don't really need. You can do a barbell curl, you can do dumbbell curls. Like, when I'm at home, I like to do seated curls like at an incline, but I'm also at home. There's no one else there. When I go to a gym, I don't do that. I'm typically just grabbing some dumbbells or grabbing one of the easy curl barbells that they have on the racks to get it done. You're still, I mean, if you push yourself to failure, you're gonna be getting a good stimulus for growth. If you're controlling the weight, pushing to failure, you're gonna be good. That's what most people just need to start on first. And then if you get to a sticking point where I'm not growing anymore and I've got my training consistent, I'm tracking what I'm doing, I'm pushing hard, I'm sleeping enough, I'm eating enough food and the right amount of protein, then sure, maybe look into tweaking these. But for the majority of people, I mean, it's a little bit overboard. Again, nothing wrong with the exercises they're doing, but it's just not practical, I'd say, in most cases for most people who are wanting to work out and improve their physique. So if you stick to the basics while controlling the weight with like squats, bench presses, various rows and pull downs, those big compound movements, you don't have to do all this special isolation stuff and twists and blah, blah, blah. You're gonna get good results. So, you know, that's what I think, but let me know what you think down below. What's your favorite exercise for these various things? Do you like doing just one good compound movement so you can get it done versus all these isolateral movements and taking a lot of time? I mean, I like being in the gym and getting a pump, but I also want to make good use of my time, and most people, again, have work and other commitments and don't have 2 hours to spend to do these optimal exercises. But hit that like button, comment with what you want below, subscribe for more, and I'll see y'all next time.